Okay, hello, welcome to our regular Earth Sky Lab interview and info series. Today, Earth Sky Lab is proud to support the launch of the Peregrinacion project. With me is Matthew and Gael, who in September, so very soon, are embarking on a journey around the most exciting eco-villages and international community projects in Europe. They're going to explore how we can work together better as neighbors, as a healthy community. So Gail, maybe you can introduce yourself a little bit.
Hello, I'm Gaëlle. I'm working as a graphic design freelancer. I just left Portugal, where I lived for almost 4 years, and I'm going to hit the road with Matthew and our daughter, doing noise at our side, and yeah, we'll hit the road to do this exciting project. So
yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
And me, I'm Mathieu. I'm well, a bit like Gael. We're both Belgian graphic designers, freelancers, so we can work from anywhere, which is good. And that gives us the opportunity to live in Portugal, in Lisbon, for almost 4 years. And now it's time for a new project, a new search that we are embarking on this month of September. Trying to find, well, the idea was trying to find a different way of living than what we've been living. We've been living in Brussels, some kind of very classical city life, but then we went to Portugal, which is kind of already a little adventure, which is a bit different, still a city, but closer to the sea, closer to nature, and also gave us the opportunity to take some space from our work and to really realize that work is good, but there is not only work, and also open our eyes to different ways of living. And then from there, I mean, after 4 years, it's still the same question popping up, and say, okay, but this is really good, but how can we push this further? And so we decided to had some vague ideas of towards where we wanted to go, and this is kind of the purpose of this trip. It's trying to clear vision.
We'll dig in more. Maybe does the little one want to be introduced? Do you think she would like to say hello?
Who? The
little one.
The little one. Iya. This is our daughter, Iya.
Yeah, she's with us. Hello.
Yeah. Yeah, she's with us.
Hello.
We can hear you, Iya. Hello. Now you're silent, huh?
So I'm curious, actually, this is a different question than we had in the list, but having a child and having her with you, how do you think this affected your inspiration for this journey?
Well, I think it just, at first it could be seen as, oh, it's going to be a difficulty, something that might, hinder us in our search, make us less flexible, which in some kind of way, it demands a bit more organization. That's true. It's less easy in some kind of way, but there are so much more plus sides. And beyond that, beyond the practical stuff, I think it's also gave us really a true reason. It made perfectly sense with her to
do this project.
Yeah. Because I think it's not. At first it was for us, but then having a child, it's really it goes beyond us, and it makes sense. It's like, oh yeah, but no. In fact, it would be so much nicer also for our child to also experience something different, because I think it can be really interesting for her and her future, and the way she's going to discover things, the way she's going to be educated. We don't know yet how it's going to work, but it might be quite interesting as well.
Great. So you started talking a bit, Matthew. Maybe Gael, you can say what exactly inspired you to go on a journey? Because I understand you lived in Brussels, then you lived in Lisbon, so kind of edging it out of the big city, but going on the road for how long are you planning to go?
Yeah, depends. We'll do some trips. The plan was at the beginning was 1 year.
Yeah, 1 year. So that's a big journey.
Yeah.
That's a big leap from Lisbon. You could have just moved, you know, a little bit further outside of town. Why the big leap?
I guess our first source of inspiration is nature, because it's, I don't know, it's first we want to live in nature, so we just want to leave a city, and then it's how nature works, how the things in nature are not planned, they are just happening, and it's a bit what we wanted to do, to let our life happen. And if we leave, I think a lot of things can happen instead of staying in the same life with the same routine. In a way, there's a point where surprises cannot really happen. So it's always good for us to think how to go out of our comfort zone, and how to make new opportunity to happen. You know, new meeting people, meeting lands, and yeah, create this new energy.
So search for adventure in a way, yes? Adventure in
Yeah.
nature.
And I think she said it quite well. It's also the idea of living. This analogy with nature is quite true. It's like letting things unfold and live a life more on the intuitive side, as we feel sometimes that we are, for us, I mean, that's our view, but sometimes we live in a world where everything needs to be controlled and put into boxes. And the idea would be to, well, of course, try to do your best, but also, yeah, be more in observation and reaction to what's happening around us, and yeah, and see what happens, and enjoy that.
That's beautiful. And what kind of projects are you planning to visit?
Well, it's going to be, well, different kind of projects. I mean, the idea was to...
The first idea is to visit projects where there is a sense of community, or a sense of putting in common some aspect of life or of land, or something where there's an interaction between different people. And yeah, maybe this is the main point, but then it can be like a project, no, help me.
Yeah. No, and I think also, as you said, that's what we're doing, but I think it needs to be a bit put into context, because the idea was also not only to leave the city, it's also just how to, again, taking the analogy with nature. It's like every protagonist in nature, whether it's a plant or an animal, I mean, like, they all work in some kind of symbiotic way. So the idea was also, okay, we want more nature, but that doesn't mean that we absolutely want to cut everything with the city. So the idea was, well, when we were in the city, we were looking for okay, let's go to nature. That was our first reflex, going back in time, and say, okay, let's have a look at a plot where maybe we can build something on the plot, or sorry, that's my phone, I'm gonna cut it. And then the idea was like, okay, that's very nice to be in a nice nature surrounding, but then at the same time, if you're in the middle of nowhere on a big plot of land, well, again, problems might, we realize that in fact we don't want to be trapped by our land. We want to be like able to manage our land, but also able to sometimes get away from it, and also on the cost wise, it's like, okay, it's nice to have, but if you want a big plot of land, then you have you have to see how it should work financially and etc. So after a while, it was like, our idea was, okay, but it would make so much more sense instead of being alone with the fence and your land, and then yeah, a nice piece of land, but then you're just, okay, what do I do now? It would be open up the idea of yeah, maybe find a nice piece of land, but how can you kind of make it more yeah, interesting for us, and share it with other people. So trying to maybe
to create a
Community.
yeah, synergy with other people, and see how you could live together on a plot, so that some stuff, daily stuff can be shared, daily burdens can be financial, but also not only the burdens, but also you can create financial interaction with people you connect with. So you're not just with in the middle of nowhere with people you don't connect with. So the idea was to really trying to have people around us, also well, to live a life where there is more social interaction, and yeah, and share the whole thing, the whole experience. So that's why we are now doing a little tour, and trying to have a tour of different kind of I don't know how they call it, cohabitat, eco-habitat.
So in English, I mean, there is eco-villages, there is intentional communities, you know, there's also co-housing, co-living, different forms. So there's many words for it.
Yeah.
In the 90s, eco-villages was the big term. So in visiting these places, what do you hope to learn?
Well, I think the idea,
I think first of all is we want to learn more about us, both of us, and we want to learn how we will integrate this kind of project, how we will feel regarding the community, the sharing aspect, because even if we have ideas, we never lived a long time in a shared place. So yeah, we want to, I guess we want to experience it, and to answer lots of questions we didn't even think about asking ourselves. But it's just, yeah, I think we'll have a lot of infos about us, and so that's the first point.
Yeah.
And I guess the second point is maybe to learn about how those kind of projects manage to be well each day, how it works actually.
Yeah, how it works on different sides, on different yeah, levels, whether it's financial, social side, nature side, whatever. Trying to find what's in place, how it works, and we know there are many different ways to do it. So that's also the idea, is just to test different kind of eco-village, intentional places, whatever. Whether at first sometimes it could be interesting to go to a place we feel that are good with us, that we'll connect with. But even if we are in a place where it's going to be a bit more out of our comfort zone, or a bit more wacko or whatever, it can be interesting too, because it's trying to see where, what are the different things that exist, and where do we place ourselves compared to what we see.
That's great. I love what you said at the start, to learn about yourself. That's definitely a sign of wisdom. And also to learn, to discover what you don't know. That's also, I think, a really, really great thing. Not knowing who am I and what do I not know. I think that's, a lot of people don't realize this, but that's a very wise first step, I think. So you're going to go through, and I guess you hope to spend a few days to a few weeks in the different places you visit, yes?
Yes.
So how do you think you can contribute to the projects you visit?
Well, the idea is to contact these projects. So on our side, it's quite clear why we do it. We just explained it before. But on the other side, I think it could be interesting, with our background as graphic designers. We are used to work with people with new projects, or people that have a project. And we are used to asking questions before even doing the design, is asking questions about their project. See, okay, you want to have a nice visual for your project, but before doing that, tell me about your project. Tell me about, okay, what's your project, how you do it, but more especially why this project, why is it born, how is it born, why are we here? I think that's always an interesting question. And that helps us understand not only the project, I sell shoes or I sell computers, but it's like, okay, how do we came here? What's the intention of the person that began that project? And that's kind of questions we would like, and that's kind of the question we would like to adapt to the project we're going to see. Is that I think, because often when we do a project, whether you do an Ecovillage or whatever, I think it often goes with an intention, but it's not always clear, the intention. That just sometimes you follow your guts and you do it, and then you do something nice, and then it happens. And sometimes it's nice also that people like us, sometimes we could ask questions, and it could be a way for these communities to also you know, take the advantage of our conversation with them to do a little review of their own little projects. Oh yeah, in fact, I have never thought about that. How do we came about here? And trying to, you know, reset a little bit everything. And we might have very basic, maybe very naive questions, but sometimes these are questions that are interesting, that helps also these communities to rethink where they're at, and maybe also sometimes realize things that they haven't realized because they are too much in the day-to-day, and sometimes it's interesting to take a step back and have a look at the bigger picture.
Great, it's beautiful. So you'll be going around asking people hard questions about their existence.
No, I will hope our questions, they're gonna be very simple. Maybe they'll find it hard. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, that sounds really great. And also, you're planning to do a website and document your journey, right? What are you?
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's also something we are doing. I think on the daily basis, on the routine things we're gonna do online. We want to share what we're doing, but the idea is trying to do it kind of differently. Sure, we can do a nice picture of us doing things as everyone does, but we're like, oh, okay, how can we bring it a bit differently, and trying to maybe have a personal touch on it, and try on that website not just to have nice Instagrammable pictures, but more about our deep feeling, and trying to have a diary. It's going to be more based on written things and drawing rather than pictures. And the idea, I don't know, that's what we feel today, but it might change because it's always like that. But it would be more to, yeah, to trying to put on paper day by day or week by week our impressions. So it might be that some weeks it's not gonna be always a happy text about everything is great, but it's trying to share also on a more personal level, but without, yeah, trying to write it like a story and see, yeah, really have something a bit different than what we see. We don't know exactly how it's gonna look, but I think we need to do 1 post, 2 posts, and we'll see what happens.
It's great. I love it. And I hope we can continue our conversations like this as well, and get a different angle of this story out into the world. So I know, because we work together, that you've developed this framework of 5 kind of pillars or areas of idea space around which you intend to structure your exploration. Can you tell us what these 5 are and how you chose them, maybe one by one, how you chose them? Why do you think they're important?
Okay. Well, in fact, we were, okay, when we were trying to put down the question, and also when we were thinking about, okay, if we today had to imagine, we don't have a lot of knowledge at the moment. It's pretty new. I mean, but today with our vision, what are the things we want to know? I mean, like if today we would start this kind of shared project, how would that work? And we put together a bunch of questions, and also for us, what's important for us, starting from our point of view. And we came up with 5 different points. where would have one would say more point that is more focused on leadership and inspirations and values. That would be kind of the fundamental point that you would see in the 4 other points. And then you have 4 pillars, we'll call it, on which the first point stands. And it's pretty straightforward. So the main point, the bigger picture, would be well, trying to understand what brings people together on the land. So on the land or on a project like that. So it'd be okay. Is there a set of values? I mean, like, is that values? Is that some kind of belief? Is that some kind of way of living? I mean, like, it could be lots of different things, but that's kind of the things we want to understand. So, okay, what are the points that makes people come together? That's the thing. And then also in that point, we'll talk about the leadership. So how are decisions made? Is there one or a group of people that are kind of the guardian of the vision? I mean, like, how does that work? I mean, like, how does one community stay focused and doesn't lose itself during the years? So that's kind of the main big points. And then we have 4 other points.
Yeah. The economical pillar, the social pillar, the nature pillar, and the aesthetical pillar.
Oh, beautiful
Beauty,
pillar.
yeah.
Beautiful.
So economics, I think that's pretty clear how things, how the community deals with money, finances, resources, and everything.
Yeah.
Social is how people relate to each other.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How people join the project, how the group is managed day to day.
Yeah. How what happened when are there celebrations? What are the common things that everyone shares?
What links people together?
Yeah.
So,
More of the project. Yeah.
Yeah, and also when there is a problem, how is it managed as well? I mean, like, all these little things. And I think also one question that is important in the social pillar is also, okay, what's the limit between the things that are shared and the things that are private, and where do that lies? And I think also that's quite interesting to see from one community to another.
yeah.
Where the line is drawn.
I'm very interested to see what you'll discover there around that area, because I think that is a one of the key motivations for people to do community projects. It's about sharing more. But I know that we've become used to our kind of atomized, here's my house, here's my fence, and this is mine kind of society. So it can be a big culture shift to move into a more shared environment. So very interesting to see what you learn and how you see people are managing that transition.
Yes.
So that's really
and I think especially for us, I mean, I'm talking for me, but I think it's like also to see our limits, where we lie on that arrow, like between between the sharing and private.
Yeah.
So it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, that will be exciting. And then nature.
Yeah.
Yes, nature. I think that's clear. It's the community's relationship to nature, I guess.
Yeah, and to nature, and how also could be also strongly linked to ecology. So yeah, to what extent are they pushing the ecology? Is it more classical and mild, or is it like full-on ecological, where everything is thought through?
Yeah, I think it's a very important topic, and actually, when you start really digging in, it's a very difficult topic because phone, computer, it's all linked to all of these things. How do you do? If you try and do everything ecologically, you end up living like medieval peasant, and that's clearly not a life most of us to aspire to. Though I can see how the aesthetic lifestyle can be very attractive to some people. For most people, it's not. So navigating this maze and this minefield of like, well, you know, meat is bad, but then like you have a farm and actually chickens and other animals contribute a lot. So then you actually want to have the animals, and then you can have too many.
Yeah,
Is it seems at first it's like, yes, we want to be more ecological, nice. But then you actually, when you get into the details, I think there's many subtleties and many difficult decisions which you have to make sooner or later. So it'll be very interesting to see how
Yeah.
different projects, communities are navigating
yeah, exactly,
those decisions.
exactly.
And we come to the last pillar, which is my favorite from the ones that you have put forth. I think also unique because not many people consider it a key pillar or a key area. That's the aesthetic, the beauty pillar. So
Yeah.
maybe actually I would like to hear from both of you separately, because that one I think is very special, what you see it. Maybe Gail, you can start.
Yeah. Okay. So beauty pillar. Well, it's just that for me, I feel better in a beautiful place. I think it's the case of a lot of people. And I work with beauty in a sense of yeah, of beauty. I mean, can be different for each one, but the aim for us is to point the, I don't know, the maybe the need to to give energy to the beauty, to the aesthetical part, because if projects are beautiful, I mean, it completes the energy of over there. I mean, it's also to honor the place that, yeah, it's a hard point, but I guess yeah, it's only a point of
Intentional.
yeah, yeah, exactly, to give intention to the aesthetical part, because it's part of for us with our work, with our I mean, I'm doing a artistical practice also, and for me it surrounds me everywhere. So for me it's really important, and I'm really curious to see how beauty is managed in this project.
It's great. And you, Matthew?
And me, well, totally agree with you. And I think also it's very interesting because beauty is, or aesthetics is very, it's very difficult to talk about it because lots of people say everyone has his own taste, and taste, you don't discuss taste. But still, there is something universal about beauty. It's about a subtle balance between colors, between proportions, between yeah, between the smell, between how things work together. But here, mainly the aesthetical would be more the. I think everything that is. I mean, you can even see it in engineering. I mean, like take for example, a beautiful plane. Often, what's beautiful works well. I mean, like it's all linked together. I don't know how to explain this, but and I think what's interesting is that coming from both of us from a visual background, where artistic and graphic designer and design, I think it's very. I think it's something when even when you just see the websites of the communities we already contacted, it's there is something where often it's not really taken care of. It's like, oof, sometimes often it looks quite outdated because it means that people don't have the, and I can totally understand that it's not always the main focus when you start a project. But I think it's fundamentally in, yeah, very, at least for us, very important that that there must be something taking care of how you looks and how it feels and how it vibrates together. Yeah. And whether it's your website, whether it's the architecture, whether it's how the garden is planted. I think it's always kind of okay. Let's do this, but there is always like a step up. But how am I going to do it? And how am I going to feel when I do a house? Because it's not just about doing something super ecological. Okay, it's super 100% ecological, but when I come in there, I'm like, is this idea here? I don't want to live here. Or on the other side, you have sometimes you might have people like architects, big architects say, oh, look at that, my building is going to be beautiful. You know, they impose to like beautiful buildings, but then when you go in the building, it's like, okay, it's beautiful from the outside, but I don't want to live in here. It's not comfortable. So it's again trying to find the right balance between two, and so that's I think something that really interests us, because it's something that we haven't really seen in an obvious way so far in our research. So it would be interesting to ask a question to people and see what they'll tell us about it.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I mean, I'm super happy. I mean, I love your project in general, but I'm super happy that you have this topic, because I think this makes your inquiry much more unique than others. Also, I could probably have a long conversation. Maybe we can have a separate conversation about beauty one day. But I think there is if you look at the history of, let's say, European culture, there's been, our relationship to beauty has been difficult past 100 years. And I think if you start digging in, it starts to become really interesting when you dig deep, because there is at a deep level some connection between beauty and spirituality.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sure.
When you see an object, can be a very simple object, but if it's been crafted to be really beautiful, really functional, there is just something subtly special about it. And there's also a connection to nature.
Completely.
Somehow nature, wild nature certainly is never ugly. Oftentimes very beautiful just because of, the twisted, crooked tree, even dead, sitting against the blue sky. It's very beautiful, right? So I think there is, once you start going this area of exploration, I'm super excited to see what you'll discover and where you will end up with beauty angle. The other ones as well, I mean, they're very important to the practicality, but I think the beauty, it's also, it's one way of driving at the soul. And what is the soul? Who knows? A separate other conversation. But there is, as an idea, certainly it's something that's existed in most human cultures, right? And it's been, the most beautiful things we've tried to do is temples, churches, and spiritual objects, right? Traditionally, they were always built with maximum beauty, whatever that beauty happened to be at the time, but people try to achieve maximum beauty in their religious, spiritual places.
Yeah.
So very, very interesting exploration.
But it's interesting what you say, and also I think it's beauty is about how things vibrates, because it's something that you also feel like it's nice, beyond like a beautiful picture. It's also because it's very personal in a way that when you see a super nice a painting from a painter, it's just your relation with the painting that makes you feel that thing. So it's something that vibrates, and beyond that, going further and connecting with spirituality, whether it's religious or an artist. I mean, like the artist does that not just to be famous. That would be a wrong artist. It knows more because it needs to get out, something that needs to sensitivity. And I think it's interesting because I think the beauty and the feeling is strongly linked with the intention. So if you have someone with a pure intention that is really into it, whether it's religion or whether it's art, or chances are big that it's going to be beautiful. I mean, like you can even have that with your accountant. If he loves like the numbers and he finds you the things and this goes with that, and you say, okay, this is really beautiful. Even if I don't care about accounting, I could relate to that if I can see the intention behind. And so that's quite interesting.
Yes. Beautiful area of expiry. So those are my questions for today. Really look forward to this being the start of our conversation and having these interviews together and learning and growing with you as you go on your journey. So look for more updates on this channel. We'll have the links in the usual places. And thank you for talking today.
Okay, thank you, Victor.